What's going on, guys? We've got two different sets of tweeters from eBay, both very cheap, and in this video we're going to be reviewing them, seeing how they compare to the original tweeters and whether they're worth buying or not. So hopefully this video will help you decide if you actually want to get tweeters for your car or to upgrade the tweeters that are already in your car. Okay guys, welcome to the video. We're going to jump straight into a comparison here of tweeter versus no tweeter. So on the right, I've disconnected the original tweeter. We've still got the original on the left. Now I'm going to start fading right to left, and can you guys hear the difference? Left side is a lot brighter and less muffled compared to the right side. So hopefully you guys can hear that difference that the tweeter makes in a sound system. Okay, so going right from the unboxing, we see we have an Alpine DDT S30 and the Pcinener TS-T280 over here. About 15 bucks for the Pcinener, and the Alpine it was about 30 bucks there. So almost double the price. We'll see if it is worth double the money. Now, a lot of people say this is a knockoff of some original Alpines. I think they've done pretty well if they aren't genuine. Straight out the box, we see the two tweeters coming out already mounted inside one variation of their mounts. And they do remove quite easily. We'll be able to see this one here, this outer ring disconnects, just pulls straight off, which reveals the tweeter, which is sitting inside the back half of that casing. So that removes, shows us the leads that are connected to the back of this tweeter. Both have male terminals ready to go. There's a bit of a weight to the unit. It's quite impressive. That's nice. And we'll find there's two more mounting options for these tweeters. So we're going to give these ones a crack for the Volkswagen Caddy today. The wires push straight through. There are a few hole options at the back of this casing, but the tweeter just clicks and falls inside quite firmly, quite snugly, which is great. Here's a bit of a view of those extra holes that you can choose to poke your wiring out from, but quite well designed, looks really great. You'll see on the left is the surface mount option, on the right is the flush mount. So depending on where and how you want to mount this inside your car, this one comes included with a few of these mounting options. So on the far right, we'll see the diagram illustrating that you can drill a hole, have the tweeter kind of mounted flush to the surface, or you can have this one mounted on the outside of a surface, or like in this case, having it inside that casing, which will then sit on the outside of a surface as well. So multiple ways that you can have this installed. Some specs there for anyone that needed. We're now going to have a look at the remaining parts of this kit, some adhesive and screws included, and also these low pass filters. So these ones will be important to use for the tweeters so that you don't blow them being one, but also you're only channeling the higher frequencies to these tweeters from the original speakers in the doors. When we unwrap and have a look at the wiring here, we see one side is naked, ready to be tapped into some original speaker wiring, and the other side is ready to be connected straight to the tweeters themselves. So male to females here, you've got to make sure you connect the positives to the positives and the negatives to the negatives. Insulate them, and it's as easy as that. The tweeter is connected to the low pass filter. All that's remaining is connecting the other side of the low pass filter to the original tweeter wiring of the car. Or if you don't have original tweeters, you can connect them to the original door speaker wiring as well. So that's a bit of a nutshell of the Alpine tweeters. We are going to double back to these inside the car, but for now, let's jump over to the other tweeters that we have, the Pcinener, the TS-T280. So very similarly, we have two tweeters, we have two of the low pass filters, and the adhesive and screws. We do notice that these ones don't come with the second set of mounting options like the Alpines, but for the $12 that these tweeters cost, not too bad at all. The casing looks great, there are a few wiring options, and as we can see, the low pass filters are already hardwired in line. You don't need to connect them, they're ready to go there. A decent amount of wiring is included, which is great. If we twist off the backing, we can see the backing and the wiring gone through here. I guess you could drill through that backing into a surface of your trim and then put the front, section of this tweeter and the front grille, clicking it on. So that could work, or you could use that adhesive tape that's included. Weight-wise, they both feel about the same. No major difference. So there might be very much of a muchness in terms of tweeter quality. But all in all, we'll see the Pcinener, such a funny name for these tweeters. They're looking good. You know, from the front ring of the chrome to the grille, you know, all looking great. So we're going to take both of these into the Volkswagen Caddy. It's a 2008 model, and we're going to test them in comparison to the factory tweeters. Now, the factory tweeters we can see here, I'd previously brought out of the dash location so that they were facing the driver. I could hear them a little bit more clearly, because originally they were inside these top mount grills, and they were facing upwards from the dash. So they were kind of getting a little bit lost, but there was a bit of a cavity, and I'd unscrewed these factory tweeters out. We will notice that these tweeters and many makes and model cars have the kind of low pass filters and resistance inbuilt to the tweeters. But in this case, we're going to start off with limiting some of the bass so we can hear the mid and treble a little bit more clearly. Some royalty-free music, and listen to the left and the right of the original tweeters. So in this case, the original tweeters actually do a good job. They're quite bright, they do bring out all the treble sounds, really making the sound really clean and fresh. But we're going to swap over to the Alpine tweeters firstly to see how they compare to the factory tweeters. So here's that sound of the factory tweeters. Jump over to the Alpine tweeters now. So straight off the bat, sounding very, very similar, you know, not a big difference. But I'll use my fader here, guys, left to right, and you'll be able to hear the difference between the two of them. So as a summary, I would say the Alpine sounds louder and brighter compared to the original. Jumping to the Pcinener, we have an audio test happening here. So same thing, we're going to go fading left to right to hear the difference between the factory one on the left and the Pcinener on the right. So we hear that the Pcinener definitely is louder than the factory one, but not as bright and not as fresh as the Alpine ones. And for anyone interested, on the right hand side I've disconnected the tweeter altogether, so there's no tweeter sound coming from the right, and we can compare the left side still having the original tweeter and the right side not having any tweeter at all. The right side sounding a lot more muffled, a lot more flat, a lot more dull, and a lot brighter on the left with the factory tweeter. Jumping back to the Alpine with a different audio track, just to hear the difference again between original on the left and Alpine on the right. This one very quickly, I'll let you guys listen to the crackly top end sounds on the Alpine on the right. You can hear them more compared to on the factory on the left. The audio differences for you guys might be a little bit hard to hear on your phone speakers, maybe a little bit easier to hear on earplugs if you've got them for the left to right channel differences. But we're going to swap to the Pcinener now and have a listen to the left and right differences here as well. And a very similar situation that these tweeters are louder than the factory tweeters. You hear more of that top end gravelly in the sound, but definitely doesn't sound as loud as the Pioneer ones. In the end, I decided to use the Alpine tweeters on both sides for a few reasons. One, because they just look a little bit cleaner, they look a little bit more modern, and they were able to be mounted more easily. But here's what they sound like. Sounding really fresh and clean. Really happy with this purchase. You know, 30 bucks I reckon well spent, and hopefully the comparison to the the cheaper half price Pcinener ones helps you guys out, in case maybe you just want to get something very basic in your car. It's not a very big difference in sound between the two of them, so I would say visually, if you're like me and you like the look of the Alpine ones, go for the Alpine, but otherwise the Pcinener will do the job perfectly fine. So a massive shout out to the royalty-free music that's used in this video. Let me know in the comments below, guys, if this video helped you out or what other videos you want to see in the future. We're always happy to take recommendations, always happy to learn together. Let's grow together. And for now, we've always got to flick something for good luck. So we're going to flick one of these boxes for good luck. There it is. Guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next video.